Justin Horwitz in the Sulky with my special guest, Hannah Miller's older brother. It's Marcus Miller. Thanks for being with us, Marcus.
So it's about time, right?
Yeah, you've now become the older brother of the Amateur Driver of the Year, Hannah Miller. Now, Hannah having a great year, and she's been a big story, but you yourself having a great year also, on pace for your best year ever with Money One. You won a Pennsylvania Sire Stake Final, a New York Sire Stake Final. What's been the highlight for you in 2015?
You know, honestly, probably the most fun was watching Hannah. I absolutely love that. She did so good. She was a professional about the whole thing. It was a blast. But personally, I mean, those two Pacing Colts in PA and New York, they were awesome. I hope it turns into a big year next year, too. Yeah, that Pacing Colt in New York travel playlist. I saw you at Vernon Downs the day that you drove that horse for the first time, and he won in 49 in the New York Sire Stake, and I remember how big your smile was that day. He went on to win the Sire Stake final with you, but then got injured in the Breeders' Crown final and scratch. What's the story with him right now moving forward? Well, he didn't get injured. He actually made the final, but he wasn't himself. He wasn't really himself in Kentucky either. And we thought we had the issue figured out with his health, and he just, I think those two big miles, Vernon and Yonkers, took a lot out of him. But he got turned out. They went over him. Hopefully he's coming back healthy, and he is absolutely the fastest 2-year-old by far I've ever sat behind. So if he comes back, if he progresses from 2 to 3, he'll definitely make some waves. Yeah, travel playlist. Sometimes those New York horses don't get all the headlines on the national scene, but he's legit really fast, and hopefully he comes back good for you. That'd be a nice horse. You gotta tell Irv to let you keep that drive. Yeah, that's up to him and the owners, but they've been very good to me. So. Hopefully I just don't screw it up. Absolutely. Now, we're going to hit a bunch of topics in our interview coming up here. So we're going to start with heading back home to Illinois. You and I are both Illinois natives. You got your start racing at Maywood, Balmoral. A horrible situation there where racing coming to an end at those two tracks. Going to be a much lesser schedule in 2016 just at Hawthorne. When you think about your start there and all the people you still know back home in Illinois and Chicago, what kind of emotions go through your head? It's very sad. When I was growing up, the only place better than Balmoral Park was here. And when I got there, it wasn't quite the same, but it was still a major harness track. And to see it disappear is almost unbelievable. But hopefully maybe Hawthorne will be like kind of a blessing in disguise. They have the track owners are into it. They like harness racing. I'm not totally sure why we left there. I won my first pari-mutuel race at Hawthorne in 2008, and I think maybe it'll turn out to be a good thing in the long run, because if they take care of it, Chicago is a huge metropolitan area. There's no reason there shouldn't be a thriving harness track there. So hopefully it's a good thing. Absolutely. Now, in the spirit of the holiday season, I have a gift for you, hypothetically, of course. If I were to put you in charge of harness racing tomorrow, you're a young guy, you still want to have a big future in this sport. What's the first thing you do in harness racing if I put you in charge tomorrow? Man, that's brutal. There's so many things. I don't even know where I would start. One thing that does drive me crazy is the single pan shot that we shoot them from. I think if we can make all these changes, medication, everything, if we don't make the races exciting to watch, I think we're uphill battle. I guess to answer your question, though, what I would do actually is I would standardize all the rules from on the track, medication, paddock, everything. One set, whatever it's right or wrong, good or bad, one set of rules, and I think that would really make things a lot easier for gamblers and horsemen alike. Yeah, consistency from state to state, track to track would certainly make things a lot easier. Wouldn't that be amazing if you weren't trying to remember which state you're in and what you can do there? Absolutely. that would be fantastic. Now, another area that you're real active in is social media and marketing. Like you were talking about, the way our races are presented on television is something that drives you crazy. What are some other things as far as social media or marketing or the way we present our races besides the TV shots that you'd like to see differently or help the sport? Yeah, I think one thing that is a little weird is like the stats. You have to pay for the stats. I don't understand that. Football, if you want to look up something, and people love looking up numbers, looking up stats, that's like spun off into its own industry that's as big as we are with the fantasy stuff. And, like replays are a little hard to find too sometimes. You got to pay for them or sign up for accounts. I feel like when you post a picture of a result, or post a chart of results, there should probably be a replay of the race attached too, because that's how you know what really happened. You watch it.
Absolutely, and if you go to playmeadowlands.com, that is available, and also on YouTube from the Meadowlands YouTube site. All the races are there in HD for everyone for free.
Yep. You can't deny the Meadowlands is leading the way and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully there's some other places that see that it works here and just follow suit.
Now, another thing, this is probably a tough question too, but a lot of times when we talk about this topic and fixing harness racing or improving the sport, you get into a thing where horsemen want something, track management wants something, gamblers want something, and it's not always easy to get all those major factions on the same page. Everyone says they want what's best for the sport, but sometimes it's hard to get the different factions on the same page. Do you have any ideas of how you get the different factions to work together, or at least come to the table and kind of see it from everyone else's perspective sometimes?
I think what we need to recognize is that's what's good for them is ultimately going to be good for us too, and there's going to have to be concessions on both sides, like from the fans and gamblers, the horsemen alike, but ultimately if it works for them, it's going to work for us. If it works for us, it'll help them. It's just, that's how it works. We have to grow together. You know, it's not like we're against each other. Sometimes it comes off that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, moving on to Meadowlands specific, several races tonight and tomorrow. We got big fields, 11 horse fields, and so you have that post 11 is in the trailing position. You have some 11 posts tonight. What's kind of the attitude, the experience, and the angle that you take as a driver? And when gamblers are handicapping the horse in post 11, should they handicap that horse any differently starting from that trailing position?
Well, it's definitely a tough spot. You know, you can't get away, you know, and just brush to the front quite like you can from other spots or anything. But, you know, they're live here. I won a race from the 11 this year already, and I think there's been a couple other winners. So it's just a different spot. You got to be careful who you start behind. You know, you're a length. You got to overcome a length before they even say go. So it's definitely a tough spot, but it's probably on par with the 10 hole. I mean, it can't be any worse than that, I don't think.
Now, quickly for the fans, now, do you need to start behind the 1, or can you move behind the 2 or the 3 or the 4? What's the rule here at the Meadowlands for the fans that are watching?
You know what? I'm pretty sure you can, if you're the only trailer, you can start behind anybody.
Okay, so that's just something to watch out for. Now, also we got to talk about a 4-year-old pacer that you have in tomorrow night, Jet Airway, and for people out there, will always be the answer to the trivia question of Marcus Miller's first Meadowlands pace drive was Jet Airway, so I know he will always have a special place for you. He's come back after missing pretty much all of this season, won last week, and now makes his 4th start in the Open tomorrow night. Is this the type of horse you think that can be a free-for-all pacer moving on to his 5-year-old season next year?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he raced very, very well last week. I still don't think he's completely tight. You know, he was off for an entire year when he got injured, and he's a great big horse at the farm. We can't really, like, train him a huge mile, so he's got to race his way into it. And, you know, a 4-year-old that's, you know, big, heavy bone, it's going to take him more than 3 or 4 starts. So I think as the winter progresses, as long as he stays sound, he is absolutely can storm home as fast as any horse can.
Yeah, pretty exciting horse. I want to take a look at some of your drives tonight and give the people some information here. That's what we're all about, so get your pens ready, open your programs. We're going to start in race 2. Moral and Hardy starts from post 11, a good closing second last week at Harrah's, Philadelphia. You think you have a chance to get involved from that post 11?
You know, he is a closer, so I don't think that really bothers him. The goal there would be making sure the right horses land in front of us, something that we could follow on the outside most likely. But he did race very well at Chester's last start.
Race 4, Get to Doing It, the former star of the Iowa Fairs. He's won 3 straight since coming east for John Boutenshane. You drove him last time. What did you learn about him, and is this like a legit horse now that he's out here on the East Coast?
You know, I think so. That, like, he showed those Yonkers miles, but he didn't have to go very fast. Not much faster than the Fairs, but he's beautiful gated for, I think he's like an Iron Master. You'd have to ask Hollywood Hayden what that is. But he's great gated, and he seems like he's got plenty of speed. I was absolutely locked in the box at Chester, and he closed up the inside with the plugs in. He did it really easily. So I think they found a nice horse in the Midwest.
Race 7, She's Heavenly, cut the mile last week before finishing 3rd. What's the strategy tonight for her?
You know, probably similar to last week, maybe not quite, you know, cutting it the whole way. She did throw a shoe at the half. If you watch the replay close, you could see me sit up and look for what was going on. She put in a little step, but she didn't race bad at all. You know, that was a nice horse that went by her, so we'll be forwardly placed for sure.
Race 8, Sterling Cadet, the Open Trot. That's our feature tonight. 20-1 on the morning line. You drove him last week. Did you learn anything? You think he fits with these at a big price?
You know, it's a tough spot for him. I think he's a small track horse, but I do like him. He knows how to win. If it works out, he can go fast enough to win. You know, it's just working out a trip with him for sure.
Race 12, Glam Cam. This horse was an absolute runaway last time. 5 in front at the half-mile pole. Finished 9th. What happened and what's going to change tonight with that one?
You know, I'd been very cautious with her behind the gate, and she'd been racing a little better. She fell into a spot where I thought if I could get away with some soft fractions that maybe she could steal it. They said go, and she had other plans about catching soft fractions. She was pretty much a loose horse until the 3/8 and then the half, but I'm sure they changed something in her mouth. We'll have to see. Hopefully I can rate her a little more. She can definitely go fast enough to compete with that group.
Absolutely. Well, it's always fun talking with you, Marcus. Merry Christmas. Hope you're enjoying the holiday season. Good luck the rest of 2015, and thanks for spending some time with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
That's Marcus Miller, my guest in the Sulky. Coming up, Wendy Ross joins me to tee up tonight's racing action.